Dresses hanging in the wind tonight. Silent witnesses to stories untold. Sisters, mothers, daughters out of sight. Their voices echo, brave and bold. Every face upon the missing wall has a name, a dream, a beating heart. We won't let their memory fall. Each one precious from the start. They matter, every single soul. They matter, we won't let go. Stand up, speak out, don't turn away. Search for justice every day. They matter, and we'll never stop the fight. They matter, every single soul. They matter, we won't let go. Stand up, speak out, don't turn away. Search for justice every day. They matter, and we'll never stop the fight. Indigenous people, strong and free. Women, men, and children too. Your lives have meaning, you belong. We hear your voices call. All lives matter in this sacred space. Every soul within our human race. True seekers, junkies, unite. We are family, we'll make this right. We will stand up and join the fight. Fight on! They matter, every single soul. They matter, we won't let go. Stand together, search as one, until every case is done. They matter, and love will light the way. Red dresses dancing in the light, reminding us to never give up the fight. We all matter, we all matter, we all matter. One human family, standing together. Red dresses dancing in the light, reminding us to never give up the fight. We all matter, we all matter, we all matter. One human family, standing together.
Live on the air, Trial Junkies United presents Justice After Dark with your host, Z.
Thank you, Doc. Hello, everybody. We're trying some lighting issues, so bear with us. I like to be in the dark anyway, so it's okay. But we're working on it. It's something that we never got to was lighting. Correct, Doc?
Correct.
So we finally got there, and it's a work in progress. Yes, I figured Fala would need an Uber at some point in the stream, so we got her an Uber just for Fala. Oh, hey Josh, thanks for joining us and our sweet little Irish Luna Fairy. This is gonna be a good one. I'm sorry about Sunday, you guys. I had a migraine, and then I had another one on Wednesday. Anytime weather patterns change, my head just goes whack. It really does. But thankfully, Doc and Moo took good care of me. Moo's sleeping in her chair. Well, I can't help it because I get excited about the shows too. When I have information I want to share, and then when I don't feel up to it, it's like, I can't call y'all personally and just share it, or I would. Because when you get a story and it's starting to come together, you get kind of excited. But let's go ahead and get started tonight, and hopefully some more lovely people will join us. So welcome to our trial junkies, our truth seekers, and the justice warriors. It's Thursday night, and so this is our MMIP cases that we're going to be watching. Hey, Simi Sharp, Pammy, thank you for coming. And I'm Z, your storyteller in the wilderness of injustice. And my ride or die doc is riding shotgun as we navigate the darkness where the predators hunt and the system fails. Are you ready to ride, Doc?
Yep,
Okay.
of course. I'm always here.
I know you are, darling. You keep us going. And like I said earlier, we're just starting to work on lighting. So, like I said, I'm in the dark, but I like the dark. So it's okay. Hey, Dr. Rachel, Ken, thank you. Therapist, all of you beautiful people. Fowler, if you get nervous, Doc's already called your Uber. It's here. Oh, love it. So anyway, tonight we share stories that society especially want us to ignore. And especially some people in Montana. They really don't want us to talk about it. So you know me, we're going to talk about it. But we refuse to let the silence be betrayal here. And so, like I said, we're going to Montana and we're going to be in, and then all of a sudden the name of the place just went right out of my head, Missoula, Montana. And we're going to say her name, Jermain Austin Charlo. She's been missing since June 16th, 2018. She was 23 years old. Yeah, 23. She's never been found. And the last person seen with her on camera has never been charged with anything in connection with her disappearance. But tonight we walk through everything. Who Jermain was, the relationship that put her in danger, the night she vanished, and the lies that followed, and a court ruling that just handed her documented abuser a legal victory she never got. And we're going to talk about Montana's broken court system, the cell tower gaps that make Indigenous women disappear even faster, and the family that has never stopped fighting. So, Doc, you ready to dig into this one?
Yep, because Montana is not broke.
No.
It's not existent.
Exactly. They do have some issues.
Mm-hmm.
So before we talk about how the system failed her, we're going to talk about Jermain Austin Charlo. Isn't that a beautiful name? She was born on April 23rd, 1995 in Dixon, Montana. Nope. Fala, your Uber's still here. You can see it. Look behind me, dear. That's where your Uber is. She was a member of the Confederated Salish and Kootenai tribe. And I practiced that beforehand and then went out of my head. Flathead Reservation. Why does it do that?
We love you anyway.
Thank you, Doc. Hey, Stormy. Thanks for coming, darling. I hope I got to say hi to everybody. If I missed anybody, hey, Mustang, good seeing you, darling. If I missed anybody, I apologize. But okay, let's get started here. This was one of her descendants. This is Chief Charlo, a man who led his people with peaceful resistance during the 1870s when the United States government forced the tribe off their ancestral land in the Bitterroot Valley and onto the Flathead Reservation. That history, that fight, it was in her blood. She was 5'9", 130 pounds, brown hair, brown eyes, and she went by the nickname Liz. Sometimes she used one of her aunt's last names, Morgay. She had a flower tattoo on the center of her chest and a deer tattoo on her left shoulder blade. But statistics and physical descriptions, they don't tell you who she was, but her family does. Jermain was outgoing, creative, and wildly alive. She loved the outdoors. She liked fishing, hunting, hiking. She loved to dress up and go out with her friends. She crocheted grocery bags because she wanted to protect the environment. She used nail polish when she was making drawings because she loved art, but she wanted to, preserve things. And she loved animals. And she had all sorts of animals. And she also started a YouTube channel, and she would get on and talk. And, this was back a ways. So, let's see. Whoops. Some of our pictures got messed up. Okay. That's okay. But some of the animals she had cats, dogs, lizard, flying squirrel. Her aunt said she had a couple of pigs. And then she had her YouTube vlog that she started from scratch. She was posting about her life with zero filter, her grocery runs, her day, her thoughts. Her Aunt Valinda was only 10 when Jermain was born. And she said at first, I didn't like her because I had been the youngest in the family and Jermain stole my thunder. Love that.
Yeah, if you have a baby, you won't be
Won't
the
be
baby.
the baby anymore. Anybody know what movie that's from? Until one day when her grandmother was busy cooking, and so she told Valinda, feed the baby. And so
Ding,
after
ding, ding. Luna,
she fed,
you got it.
yay, overboard. Valinda, after she fed the baby, she said she looked at her and she decided, you're kind of cute. And she said, then from that day on, she became my baby. And she says, I was her big sister in every way that mattered. She said Jermain went silent on social media eventually in 2018. That's when they knew something was wrong. But we're going to talk a little more about who she was. She had dreams. And because she was artistic, she wanted to attend the Institute of American Indian Arts in New Mexico. She was working at the Big River Cantina on the Flathead Reservation, and she had recently started a job as a tree planter with SKHA, a tribal forest service. She actually had an interview scheduled for a seasonal firefighter position. She wanted to fight fires for her tribe. And she was going to do that, man. She was a mother. She had 2 sons, Jacob and Thomas, and she would have done anything to stay close to them. So that kind of tells you who Jermain was.
I was just thinking that gear that firefighters wear is almost heavier than her.
I know she's very slender. Yeah. Because that stuff I think can weigh up to 80 or 100 pounds. So yeah, it is bad. Dr. Rachel, you get no better with your dental surgery. I'm sorry, darling.
Ow.
Yeah. But now we're going to go back and we're going to talk about what happened to understand her relationship, because she met, there's her cats. There she is with her lizard.
Her lizard.
And let's see. There she is with her flying squirrel and one of her pigs. I mean, she was just a fun person. You can tell her personality by her pictures. She really was fun. But this is Michael DeFrance. Now, she actually met him in 2010. Jermain was only 14 at the time, and this family moved across the street on the Flathead Reservation from them. Their son, Michael DeFrance, was 16. So he was 2 years older. His father was part of the tribe. His mother wasn't. They both enjoyed fishing and long walks, and it really got serious very quickly. And when you're young and someone pays attention to you, we all know how that happens. You just think, you're in love and the world has got rainbows and unicorns are running all over the place. Don't underestimate short native chicks. That's true. You check out Cola Shipping Tower's Facebook page or even her Instagram, you guys. It shows her out hunting with her hubby and cutting up meat. So trust me, that she's one tough woman. She's badass. We love Cola here. But Jermain started skipping classes to hang out with Michael because he was homeschooled by his mother. And I got questions about that. Now, this was 2010. So we know sometimes, people homeschool because the education isn't very good in areas. So you might homeschool your child, or you have a problem child. I'm just saying it could happen.
Yep.
We don't know.
Trouble
I have
kids.
questions.
Yep.
I have questions. Why was he homeschooled? He was 16. So she tried to get Jermain's mom to homeschool her, but her mother's like, no, that's not possible. You know, I'm not homeschooling my kids. So his mother would let Jermain come over at their house and hide out and not tell anybody while she was skipping school. Now, is that not a huge red flag? And things took a turn for worse because her Aunt Valinda one day she said, for some reason, I had her phone. She goes, I don't even know why. And I was looking at it and she found sexually explicit photos of Jermain herself. She was 14 and Valinda confronted DeFrance directly. She got a hold of that little 16-year-old boy. And Jermain's family, they never approved of the relationship. And that little snot bag, you know, he didn't say much. But
Ooh,
like
I
any
like that
parent,
snot bag. Yeah.
that's what he was. Hey, I'll be frank. Thanks for coming. And so even though your aunts and uncles and grandma may not like your boyfriend, when they believe they're in love, you know how it goes. Now, there was one mention in one of the articles that I was checking out that Jermain actually had seen a lot of domestic violence as she was growing up in life within her family. Like her mother was only 15 when Jermain herself was born. So she had a young mom. Her dad wasn't really in her life much. So there were different stepfathers, I guess. And so this was something she'd seen it with some other relatives. So sadly, it was something she was seeing. And Jermain, when she was born, like I said, she had this very young mom, but the physical violence didn't start until 2013 for Jermain. And according to what they know, the court records show it wasn't Snotbag's first offense, okay? His first conviction for what they call partner or family member assault was sealed. So if he was, you know, let's see, 19 at this point, we don't know when it happened or who the victim is, but we know it occurred before 2013, probably when he was a minor. Could that be why he was homeschooled? I'm just saying. Got questions here, people. They moved to the reservation. He's homeschooled. He's got a sealed record on violence. Yeah, I got some questions. So, you know, why would you encourage your son to be dating a girl 2 years younger than him, trying to keep her around your son against her family's wishes if you know your son has an issue with anger? I'm just talk about the word enabler. Just saying.
So he was being encouraged to pursue Jermain?
Well, his mother was trying to get her mother to homeschool her so she'd be around more. And then when that didn't work, she actually let Jermain hide out of their house and not tell her mother.
Wow.
Yeah. So that woman had issues. I'm sorry. And her name's Jennifer. Yeah, Jennifer, you have issues.
Isn't that kind of like letting the fox into the hen house?
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. And that fox needed to be smacked a lot. But Jermain called her Aunt Valinda on April 13th, 2013, and she told her, Auntie, I need you down here. Michael hit me. According to court documents, Snotbag, who was 19, admitted to the police. He held her down. She was 17 at the time, you guys. He held her down across the hood of a van, struck her 4 times in the face and the head, threw her to the ground, and spit on her. He admitted it, signed it. His plea agreement states he caused bodily injury to his girlfriend. This was his second PFMA. which is partner, assault conviction. And because of that, the sentence included a fine, a day in jail, a day.
Wow. That is
40
like forever.
I know. And also, he had to spend 40 hours of domestic violence treatment. And the 40 time to drink. I need something. He had to forfeit his right to possess firearms. Okay? This was in 2013. He had to give those up. He served 1 day, but that's not where the pattern started. Like I told you, there was a sealed prior offense that we just don't know what's in there. But I'm thinking that had something to do with them moving to the reservation and him being homeschool. Just my questions that I have. So then in June or July of 2014, a year later, Jermain comes running home to her aunt's crying because at this time she would have been 18 and she was living with the snot bag across the street on his parents' property in a camper. They were living in a camper. And so she's crying and her aunt had been in the shower and she jumps up, throws a towel on and comes running out like, what? And then of course, Snotbag is banging on the door. So Valinda goes to open the door and he grabbed her. And when he grabbed Valinda, it threw her to the ground, but she fell on top of him. Now, he ended up getting arrested, but it's unclear if there ever were any charges that he got convicted. Of course, he told them that Valinda started it and pulled a gun. Now, was she hiding it under the towel? She just stepped out of the shower.
Kind of a wet gun.
Yeah, I mean, little turd. So in November of 2014, Jermain called the police again. He had taken her phone and he dropped it in water and he destroyed it. Now, the responding officer at the time said it was a civil matter, not a criminal one. But Montana law actually allows a PFMA arrest when someone destroys a phone to prevent a person from calling for help. So what he did was illegal. And what the cop did was lazy and not his job. Because there's no charge. It's a civil matter. No, it wasn't. He was preventing her from calling for help. That phone, the silencing of her voice through a phone, would echo across the years in ways no one understood yet. So just remember that. In April of 2016, Jermain started her job as the tree planter and posted excitedly about it to Facebook. She was building something. And then on May 15th of 2017, she made a Facebook post that her family has never forgotten. Now, in the meantime, her and Snotbag had 2 little boys. And she loved to take them outside. This was, teaching them to fish. She was an outdoorsy person. But she publicly named Snotbag and said what he was doing, that he had put his hands on her, thrown her up against a pull-up bar, and choked her. She wrote that she didn't have marks on her neck, but she felt the burn from the strangulation all day. 4 days after she posted that, 4 days, Montana made strangulation of a partner or family member a felony. Research indicates that being strangled by a partner even once increases a victim's risk of being murdered. Deleted.
Yep.
By that partner by over 600%, you guys. Jermain didn't know that. She may not have understood the gravity of what she had survived, but the data understands it. And 12 days later, on May 27th, 2017, she posted that he threatened to find her children a new mother. Can you believe that? He was going to find her children a new mother. Yeah. So he did get arrested the one time, and I just like seeing him in orange. I'm not sure exactly what time he got arrested this time, but I like to see him in orange. Snotbag should always be in orange as far as I'm concerned. But on May 30th of 2017, he had got her to go with him overnight to go to a concert. And so they were coming home. They were on I-90. And she was posting on Facebook asking friends to contact her dad and brother to pick her up from the police station because he got in a fight with her and he pushed her out of a moving vehicle with no shoes on. He was arrested and charged with PFMA's the second offense, though legally this was his third offense because remember, the first one is sealed. 3 times he has done this. And that case was eventually dismissed for reasons that may never be explained publicly. So, yeah, that's not good. Now, you might all be thinking, why did she go to the concert with him?
Well, I'm trying to think why she did anything with him.
Well, 12 days after publicly saying that he had choked her, it's not weakness. It tells us about the dynamic she's navigating here, you guys, because this is the part of the story that doesn't get told enough. It wasn't just Snotbag that Jermain was up against. It was his entire family, the structure, and the court system that failed her completely, because after his arrest in May 2017, because of the incident on I-90, she tried to go get her children from his parents' property, and his parents refused to release them to her. She had to fight just to get her own kids back. Now, she even had a cousin, and his name was Sam. And so she would have him over a lot because Michael and Sam were friendly with each other. And Snotbag usually wouldn't pull stuff when Sam was around. And Sam even made the comment, he said, there were times, he said, I really felt that Snotbag, of course, that's not what he called him, felt stressed about being a young father and wasn't sure he wanted all that responsibility. Then walk away. But then in the fall of 2017, he decided to sue for sole custody. And they went to tribal court for a custody hearing. And Michael, her Snotbag, had a lawyer. Jermain had no lawyer. She couldn't afford one. So she had no legal representation. They wouldn't give her any, even though she, didn't have the money for it because it was civil. And it was determined where the children were going to live. And the result, he got awarded residential custody. Think about that. This is a man that 3 times has abused his partner. Twice with her that there have been charges. Though it wasn't the first time. He had done it numerous times. But he'd had 2 charges with her and a sealed record, and they still gave him custody. So she was granted visitation. She got Mondays through Wednesdays and every other weekend. She also was ordered to pay $800 a month in child support. Now that's an amount her family described as far beyond what was reasonable given her income. $800 a month. That's based on a big salary.
Yeah.
She wasn't making anything, hardly at all. It wasn't for the children that he actually did this. It was for control of Jermain. Because now she had to obey him or he would prevent her from seeing her children. He had the control. And a few weeks after that hearing, Jermain's aunt and her grandmother, Vicky, noticed bruises on Jermain's face and arms. She initially told her grandmother, she was really close with her grandmother, that she had tripped while getting her kids out of the bathtub, but later confided in her mom that Snotbag had hit her and caused the bruises. So they let the man who had abused her and had a record have custody of little children. Just think about that. She told a friend that her kid's father had been a problem and had been hurting her. And her own cousin said that Jermain kept having nightmares and dreams because she was by herself a lot of the time, and she was worried. She was scared of him and what he would do. And so eventually he got property on Evero Hill and with the man who had hurt her for years. So she's now paying him $800 a month to try and stay away to see her kids. She said no lawyer defender, no family member of his willing to stand for her. Because we saw how his family members were anyway. They were encouraging this relationship when they shouldn't have been. So when they finally did split, his family made that choice. They kept the children on their property. And so when Snotbag was arrested in 2017, that was why he would not let her have them. And when she came to collect them. And there's no record of any member of his family ever advocating for her rights as the mother during the custody proceedings. Now, on June 27th, 2018, 11 days after Jermain went missing, officers from Missoula County Sheriff's Office went to his property and spoke with Michael's mother, or Snotbag's mother, Jennifer. She told the officer that Jermain had never been to the residence. Really?
What?
Yeah. The kid that hid out there all the time, never been there.
Uh-huh.
She also told officers that her son was still in love with Jermain and wanted to get back together with her. And that Jennifer knew her son was obsessively fixated on the woman who had just gone missing. And her public statement to law enforcement was that she had never been there. Is that insane?
Completely.
Yeah. You know, that doesn't make sense at all. Now, this is a journalist, Connie Walker. She is a Cree investigative reporter, and she's spent years covering this case, you guys, for a Spotify podcast, Stolen, The Search for Jermain. And her conclusion, and the conclusion of almost anybody that's looked at this documented record, is that a year before Jermain disappeared, it reads like a textbook on intimate partner violence. You know? Hey, PJ. Research tells us that approximately 75% of domestic violence-related homicides occur in the first 18 months after a relationship ends. The first 18 months. So what advocates call that separation period, they didn't break up for good until 2017. She disappeared in 2018. It's in that window.
Mm-hmm.
And she knew she needed to be careful. She was keeping secrets to stay safe. On December 9th of 2017, despite everything, the arrest, the loss of custody, she posted on Facebook congratulating Snotbag because supposedly he had an engagement to another woman. A week later, she announced a new job as the bartender at the Big River Cantina. She was moving forward. And then on June 9th of 2018, 1 week before she disappeared, she changed her Facebook status to in a relationship. Now, she never said who it was with, and it was later understood to be a man named Jacob, a man she'd met on a dating app. But she was hiding it from Snotbag. I think because he was engaged, she felt safe to say she was in a relationship, but she was still hiding who. And I don't know if that's why she thought it was okay to post it. Now, her grandmother and aunt knew about Jacob, and they liked him. Her new boyfriend, Jacob, later told police that the day before she disappeared, though, Snotbag had been yelling at her, demanding to know if she was dating anyone and insisting he wanted to get back together. He's engaged to somebody else. And he's fighting with her, saying, I want to get back together with you.
He's a couple of bricks shy of a full load.
No, he's a control freak. He's a
Yeah. Well,
narcissist.
that's right.
Yeah. She is beautiful, isn't she, Pammy?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, pretty brown girl. Thanks for jumping in and seeing us. So the former girlfriend of Snotbag had been dating until just a few weeks before she disappeared, actually told the journalist, Connie Walker. Now, this is the woman that supposedly he was engaged to. And everyone needs to hear this. She left Snotbag because all he seemed to care about was what Jermain was doing, where she was, and who she was with. Even broken up, and even though he was engaged to her, he was consumed by Jermain. That is classic lethal behavior if there ever was any. Obsessive jealousy is a major risk factor for intimate partner deletions. And Jermain knew enough to hide Jacob from him. She was walking a fine line, maintaining just enough contact to keep access to her boys while trying to build this life without him around. So now we're going to talk about why she was with him the night she disappeared. And her family believes, truthfully, and I think they're right, it was her sons. Because when she lost residential custody to your abuser, every interaction you have with him, you don't blow it up. You don't provoke him. You placate him. You strategically, because the alternative is losing your children forever. So I think that night it was just strategy. It wasn't that she trusted him. She was just being strategic. Now, this was the evening of June 15th of 2018. They went together to Missoula, Montana, to the bars. And the evening they went out in downtown and they visited at least 3 bars: the Dark Horse, the Golden Rose, and the Badlander. Witnesses at the Badlander described Jermain as social, animated, engaged, talking with friends, playing pool, dancing. And the bartender noted that Jermain seemed more interested in her phone, while Snotbag seemed more interested in Jermain. Chatty and focused on her. Yeah. And this is a photo of them walking down the street in front of some of the bars. And if you watch the video that 48 Hours had, because this finally got released, they kept it for 6 years before releasing all this footage. But in this footage, she walks ahead of him. She even tries to go a different direction, and he just follows her like a little leech. He won't let go. Doc, can you go ahead and play that surveillance? This is footage from the alley behind the Badlander. Now, it's kind of hard to see, but if you can, pay attention to it. There's some people, they're out back, and over to the side, there's a guy against the dumpster. And you see the white hat, that's her. She goes up and she hugs this guy. Standing behind her is Snotbag. He's got his arms folded. He's not happy. And then they walk off. That's them walking away. And that's the detective. He is a good detective, by the way. But that's the last footage ever seen of Jermain. So this captures them in the hours before midnight. She's working the crowd. She's talking to people. She's laughing. She's lively. She hugs her friends. The whole time, Snotbag is standing behind her. He's got his arms crossed. He's rolled up his sleeves. And the surveillance coordinator, Lowell Hochholder of the lifeguard group, described Snotbag in the footage as standing nearby, not talking much, watching the witnesses who knew Jermain, including an ex-boyfriend, Nick Rolt, and his friend, Eddie Woodcock. And they told cold justice investigators that Snotbag wasn't the happiest when he saw Jermain talking with other men. And like I said, here in the picture, you can see he's standing there with his arms crossed behind her the whole time. He's not really engaging. The eyewitness accounts, the bartender's observations all align that night of not going according to what Snotbag had planned. He wanted her back. She wasn't interested. She was just going along with this. We'll go out and have some drinks to placate him. Now, shortly after midnight, Jermain and Snotbag are seen on the surveillance camera walking east down the alley together. And then they're out of camera's view. She's never seen again. Jacob, her boyfriend, who she'd been in contact with all night, that's, of course, who she was texting, he was out of the state that weekend. But they had been texting throughout the evening, and she had planned to stay at his apartment while he was away, because I don't think she wanted to go back home with Snotbag. So at 11:52, they exchanged their final text message. Okay, and shortly before 1 a.m. on June 16th, Jacob calls her. He said it rang several times and then it went to voicemail. He told investigators he believed someone had intentionally silenced the call. And the phone records confirm it. The call was silenced. It wasn't missed, silenced by someone. Now, Snotbag later told the police that he and Jermain got into his 2011 brown Dodge truck and he dropped her off near the Orange Street food farm, claiming that she was going to stay with a friend named Cassidy, who lived nearby. Now, this was only like 5 minutes down the road. She had no friend named Cassidy. Investigators never found anyone named Cassidy, and then subsequently with interviews, they found out that, well, Jacob lived nearby, but she wasn't going to have him drive him to his house. So she said, drop me here. My friend's going to come pick me up. But in subsequent interviews, you guys, he changes his story. Now, why would you change your story? He told the police he actually dropped her off in a residential neighborhood approximately 8 blocks away from this Orange Street Food Center. And he told her family even another version. Now, when I'm sitting here thinking, why would you change your story? Could it be the Orange Street Food Farm had cameras and maybe the cops told him they didn't see them pull up? So then he had to come up with another story. Oh, well, no, it was actually 8 blocks away in a residential area. I just dropped her. 3 different stories for 3 different audiences. Yeah. Yep, Josh, we're getting there. And I wonder if he changed it with the police, like I said, because they told him, we have no footage of you. That could be a problem. So let me make up something else. Well, it was close by, but it wasn't exactly there. I mean, come on, dude. We're on to you. So now her aunties, Jermain Charlo, never went anywhere without her phone, they told him. Never anywhere. She was glued to her phone. This is her auntie Belinda and her auntie Danny. And they said because she had her vlog, she constantly was on the phone. She talked to their mother, her grandmother every day. In fact, it was her grandmother that called Belinda saying, have you heard from Jermain? Because the minute she didn't get a call, she knew something was wrong. So her Aunt Belinda said it simply. It wasn't natural for her not to talk to my mom. She did it on a daily basis. So when we started seeing no posts on her social media, she wasn't calling her grandmother, the family knew. So within 48 hours, they're calling hospitals, shelters, and the police. They contacted the reservation police, but they decided they better call the Missoula police because she was last seen in Missoula, Montana. But of course, they told him, no, you have to come in and report it. You can't just tell us over the phone. And so that took another day to get that done. And so all the cop did that took the report was he made the same calls the family did to the shelters, to the hospital. So that was it. That's all he did.
And then he was done.
And he was done. But thank goodness, except it was 10 days later, after the report, Detective Guy Baker came into the scene. He became the lead investigator. He'd been on vacation, you guys, when Jermain disappeared. So he didn't know about it at first. So when he came back and heard, he's like, I'll take lead. And he took the lead on this. And thank goodness. At first, they were concerned that she had been trafficked because they have a major interstate that runs through Montana. And he said women quickly, and men, boys, can quickly disappear. And this is what technology tells us. On June 27th, because he was smart enough the day after he took the case to get the pings on the phone. So after she disappeared, he gets Verizon wireless records tracking her cell phone activity. Those records show that between 2 a.m. and 10 a.m. Now remember, they left about 11:52 p.m. to go down the street. But between 2 a.m. and 10 a.m. on the morning of June 16th, the hours immediately following her disappearance, her phone is active. And it goes off of a cell tower. Now, this is pinging off of a cell tower near Aviro Hill. Aviro Hill is on the Flathead Reservation. It's 14 miles north of downtown Missoula, Montana. 14 miles away is her phone pinging. Now, this is a very rugged and heavily forested area, described as having dense trees, wildlife, and a single highway running through it. It's where Snotbag was living at the time. Now, remember, he told investigators he dropped her off in Missoula around 1 a.m. Her phone was pinging at Aviro Hill, his territory where he lives, from 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. Those facts can't go together. One's right, one's wrong. Either he's lying about where he dropped her, or she was never dropped off at all.
Oh, I can probably tell you which one it is.
Yeah. So when he gets confronted by the investigators with the cell data, guess what? His story changes again. He now says that she left her phone in his vehicle. Isn't that convenient? He claimed he tried to get into it, but he couldn't. Think about that. Her phone's in the vehicle. So he was a truck driver at this time. So he said that 2 days later, on June 18th, while Jermain's family is calling law enforcement for help, as his little truck driver himself, he's driving through Idaho. He says he threw her phone away at mile marker 94 on Highway 12. Isn't that specific?
Yeah.
Investigators, they went and searched the location. They never found anything. But on the other side of that, where you see the mile marker, there's like a river or a stream there. So if he did throw it there, who knows? But they found nothing. So Detective Guy Baker, the lead investigator who has carried this case since June 26, 2018, said publicly that Snotbag's destruction of the phone was something he could not explain away. Yeah, right? Now he's confirmed that Jermain's phone data and Snotbag's location data from Google both place them in the same area near Aviro Hill. I'm not saying it right, but who cares? It's where Snotbag lives. We don't care. During these critical hours. Now, he allowed the police to extract his phone data, including his Google location history. That data was consistent with his phone being near his home that night. But let's talk about why any of this is even possible. And that takes us to Montana's cell infrastructure problem. And there's a huge one there, you guys. It is huge. Montana has one of the most severe cell coverage gaps in the nation. It's not an accident. It's a geography and economics problem that has life and death consequences for Indigenous women. Yeah, exactly, Josh. Like, this was the mile marker. And the state, Montana's big. It's mountainous. There's terrain, there's peaks, there's valleys, steep ridge lines, physical blocks and grade signals, meaning you need many more towers to cover the same area you would on flat land. The population density is among one of the lowest in our country, which means carriers simply don't build infrastructure in rural areas because there aren't enough customers to make it profitable. The land itself has barriers. Much of it's national parkland or federally protected territory where there are strict environmental permits makes tower placement difficult or impossible. Carriers concentrate their investment along major highways and in cities. Everywhere else, it's a dead zone.
Now, you maybe you covered this already, maybe, but what explanation did Snotbag give as to why he even had her phone?
Oh, she accidentally left it in the vehicle.
So he threw it out.
After 2 days. After trying to get into it, he said. But here's the thing. She would have known her phone was missing because this girl was glued to her phone. So it just doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense at all.
And meanwhile, all this time, nobody's hearing from her at all.
No, nobody's hearing from her. She's not on social media. Because we saw the last time, remember that time in 2017 when he kicks her out of the vehicle with no shoes and no phone? That time she got somewhere and used Facebook to get a hold of family, saying, I need someone to come pick me up. So she would have gotten somewhere to have gotten help.
Right.
You know. Now, what this means in practice, this is showing, the trucks and the highways through Montana, is that a woman can be taken off of a major interstate in Missoula and be completely off grid within minutes. The Missoula County Deputy Attorney Brittany Williams said it plainly to CBS News. She said, people in Montana can be swept away in an instant, and because of the lack of GPS and cell coverage, you might never hear from that person again. That gap is a predator's tool. The interstate running through Missoula has historically been tied to human trafficking operations for exactly this reason. Women disappear into these dead zones and law enforcement has no trail to follow because there's no signal. In Jermain's case, investigators were working with the cell data they had, but Aviro Hill's coverage was sparse enough that the tower data gave them a general area, not a precise location. So they couldn't absolutely pinpoint. And this is part of the reservation. You have mountains and lakes and rivers, and the Flathead Reservation, you guys, covers 1.3 million acres of forest, rivers, mountains, and wilderness.
Plenty of room for someone to get themselves, if someone wants to be off grid, it's not hard to do in an area like that.
Yeah. So search teams from the lifeguard group conducted grid searches. They walked arm's length apart through the dense mountain terrain, but they found nothing because they went to the area where her phone last pinged in that area. But it's just really rough searching. And it's not because Jermain's not there. It's just they haven't found her yet. But because in 1.3 million acres of wilderness with limited cell coverage and no body to find, the odds are tough. Maybe some of those billionaires and millionaires who keep going out there and buying all this land in Montana, and some of the movie stars and TV showrunners, because they film a lot of stuff out there. Maybe y'all could do something for the Native community. Just saying, maybe you could help set up some cell towers, help them come up with a solution so we don't have so many missing and deleted Indigenous people. I mean, come on. You guys have a lot. Share. These people need help. You want to go up there and film and take some of their land and stuff. Well, do something for them. And this is something simple. Help get some cell towers. Help them, get this where these people are safe. She was 23 years old, beautiful, intelligent, smart, artistic, who was just trying to survive. And this is something advocates have been raising for years, the cell infrastructure failure as an active contributor to these cases. So think about that. And Montana's not the only one. Idaho has some of those issues too. There are other, but Montana's the biggest one. But let's talk about the investigation, how it unfolded, because the timeline matters. She vanishes on the night of June 15th. Her family reports her missing to tribal police on June 17th. They called Missoula police on June 18th and were told the report had to be made in person. So Valinda drives from the Flathead Reservation to Missoula, filled out the official missing persons report on June 20th. The first detective assigned just did what they did, checked hospitals, shelters, things where they'd already been checked, and said, well, she's not in immediate danger. How did you come to that conclusion, dude? She has an ex that she's had arrested twice. He's got a record, and you're acting like it's no big deal.
Someone was keeping him from his jelly donut.
Exactly. And it wasn't until June 26, 10 days after she disappeared, that Detective Guy Baker was assigned to the case and began really investigating. And he's been leading it ever since. And they say he's been relentless. But he even talked, I listened to the interview on 48 Hours, and he talked about the disparity. He said, Gabby Petito went missing, and the national media covered it around the clock. A Caucasian female during the same time period, multiple Native women went missing, and they received nothing. Baker has repeatedly stated that Jermain's disappearance is the result of a criminal act. He stated publicly that he has no doubt about the identity of the individual or individuals responsible, but he doesn't have enough evidence for an arrest. And like the county prosecutor said, we get one shot at this. One shot. He said the case isn't cold, and that's why they finally released the footage. I'm a little upset that they didn't release this footage earlier. 6 years is a long time to hold on to this footage.
I'd say.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You should have released it sooner because people's memories fade. But they finally released it, and on June 27th, 2018, the Missoula County Sheriff's Office applied for a search warrant for Snotbag's property to recover her phone and her personal property. But that's when that's when he came up with his story about he threw the phone away. Photographs were taken, no evidence was seized. On August 1st of 2018, the department obtained Snotbag's Google location history through a search warrant. Google complied with the warrant and turned over the data. On August 2nd, the very next day, they applied for a second search warrant for Snotbag's property. And this time, the warrant application cited a reason beyond unlawful restraint. It stated investigators had reason to believe that a crime of deliberate homicide had been committed. They requested 10 days of surveillance, including infrared photography, drone coverage of the property to look for hidden buildings, bunkers, storage areas, and concealment sites. They thought maybe Snotbag would move to a gravesite or tamper with evidence. Whether that surveillance was ever executed has never been confirmed publicly. No return was ever filed. Now, in October of 2018, Missoula police and the FBI searched his property with cadaver dogs. Items with blood were recovered and submitted to the crime lab, but the results came back inconclusive. The blood could not be confirmed as Jermain's. In June of 2019, the Confederated, Salish, and Kootenai, I'm going to butcher it. I am sorry, people. I am really sorry. Tribal Council unanimously voted to increase the reward for information leading to the resolution of Jermain's case to $10,000. So they upped the reward money. And this came from her Aunt Valinda, and it was supported by Detective Baker. And what they did was they got a billboard, and the Tribal Council approved funding to keep Jermain's billboard up on Highway 93 near Missoula, facing the direction of Evero Hill, so that her sons, Jacob and Thomas, could see their mother's face every time they passed. Her family placed the billboard specifically so Snotbag would have to drive by it on his route to Missoula. Her sons would see it, he would see it, and they would know, we have not forgotten. We are still looking, and we see you. Pretty brown girl, you know what? In Montana, I don't know if you'd get a jury to convict him. I'm just saying. Montana is not kind to natives. I'm sorry. And sometimes it gets really wicked. And here's part of it. We're going to get to a legal dimension here. Now, when Montana's broken court system becomes impossible to ignore, when he pled guilty back in 2013, remember? His first time he abused her and was charged. Part of his sentence was loss of the right to possess firearms. He signed the paperwork. He said he understood this. He knew it. But in 2018, while Jermain was missing and while investigators were executing search warrants on his property, they found, guess what?
Firearms.
Bing, 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 you win. They found firearms, multiple firearms.
Mm-hmm.
Snotbag is considered what federal law calls a prohibited person, someone whose prior conviction bars them from gun ownership. It later emerged that Snotbag had gone to a Missoula pawn shop in 2018, lied on a federal ATF form on 3 separate occasions, claiming he had not been convicted of a domestic violence misdemeanor in order to purchase more weapons. He was indicted in July of 2021 for prohibited possession of firearms and 3 counts of making false statements during a firearms transaction. Now, this charge carried a maximum of 10 years in prison and $250,000 in fines. Detective Baker confirmed publicly that Snotbag's firearms conviction came directly out of their investigation into her disappearance. The FBI and the city of Missoula's investigation into where she was and what Snotbag knew led directly to finding these guns. He was convicted in May of 2023. Now we're thinking, yay. No. In December 30th of 2024, the United States Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit reversed the conviction entirely. Now we're going to get to some legal stuff here.
For what reason?
Here goes.
Getting to that. Okay.
Here's the part that's going to make every single one of you mad and furious. And I want you to understand exactly what happened because it matters. If Ken's around, he might have some more explaining he can help with. Let's go. Because it matters, federal law 18 USC 9229 prohibits anyone convicted of a misdemeanor crime of domestic violence from possessing firearms. The federal definition requires that the prior conviction involve as an element the use or attempted use of physical force. Snotbag's 2013 conviction was under Montana's partner or family member assault statute. Montana Code Section 45-5-206 1A, and here is where the trap springs. Montana's law is protective of victims than federal law. it defines bodily injury to include mental illness and impairment, meaning a person can be convicted of an assault in Montana for causing purely emotional harm. The words alone with no physical contact. Montana courts have upheld this. The case cited in the Ninth Circuit's own opinion involved a man who called a woman on the phone, posed as a doctor, talked her into harming herself. Okay. Montana courts ruled that counted as assault because words alone cause bodily injury. But the Ninth Circuit used what's called the categorical approach.
Categorical.
Thank you. I knew I needed you there. My tongue wasn't working. A Supreme Court doctrine that says courts cannot look at what the defendant actually did. Now, who came up with this dumb idea? They can only ask, can this statute theoretically be violated without physical force? I still don't quite get that. And because Montana's statute can theoretically be violated through words and emotional harm, the answer was yes, which means Snotbag's conviction under that statute does not qualify as a federal misdemeanor crime of domestic violence. His gun rights under federal law should never have been stripped. It didn't matter that Snotbag admitted to hitting her 3 times in the face with his fist. The fact was legally irrelevant. The court was explicitly prohibited from looking at it. Both judges who ruled on the case were openly troubled. Judge Christian wrote that the result was something Congress never intended, but the controlling precedent left no choice. Judge Rakoff called the categorical approach something that leads to bizarre results, an excursion into the absurd, and joined a growing number of judges and Supreme Court justices calling for Congress or the Supreme Court to fix it. So he stated directly that ignoring established admitted facts in favor of hypothetical guesses is no way to deliver justice. And here is the painful irony that Judge Christian herself named. Snotbag, she didn't call him Snotbag. That would be great, though.
You sure? Oh,
Maybe in her brain she did.
yeah.
Benefited precisely because Montana's laws are more protective of victims. Montana expanded its assault definition to cover emotional abuse and verbal harm to protect more women. And that same protective breath became the legal loophole that let him walk away from a federal firearms conviction. The law designated to protect her became the technicality that freed him. Does the court system of Montana have an obligation to fix this? Oh, heck yes.
Mm-hmm.
This is just nuts. And someone needs to get those Supreme Court justices to sit down and do their job instead of all this other crap that they get up to that means absolutely nothing. I mean, come on. Instead of going around letting ICE do whatever they want to people, why don't you guys do something that's actually helping people?
Well, something that bothers me more than just about anything when it comes to cases like this is that you have to stop and realize that laws are made for law-abiding people.
Yes. It's
Criminals don't care.
Yeah. And he got, Semi's right. He got a clever attorney. He got a slick attorney that went in there and, used some fancy words and got it where he wanted,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they released her offender. And I mean, the thing is, this is a repeat offender. It wasn't just once. He had, we have the sealed record and 2 records with her. It's like, come on, people. Smarten up.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. These Supreme Court justices need to get their act together. These are things that need to be stopped. Laws, you're supposed to protect people. You guys ain't protecting anybody. But because Jermain's story, it's not an isolated case. It's a case study in systematic crisis. Native Americans make up 6.2% of Montana's population. 6.2. Now, this is in 2023. They accounted for 30.6% of all missing persons cases in that state. Think about that. That low number, and 30.6% of the missing people are them. You know, they are 4 times more likely to be reported missing than non-native Montanans. 4 times. In 2016, out of 5,712 reports of missing Indigenous women and girls nationwide, only 116 were properly logged in the federal missing persons database. 116 out of nearly 6,000. Because they might give us these numbers at times, but they're not keeping accurate counts. And the rest were erased before anyone looked for them. The MMIP crisis in Montana is driven by a collision of failures: domestic violence, human trafficking, jurisdictional confusion between tribal, state, and federal authorities, chronic underfunding of tribal law enforcement, and a law enforcement response that advocates have documented as slower and less urgent when the missing person is native.
Yeah,
You know?
what was it? They said on that the 48-hour broadcast is that Montana is made up, their population is approximately 6% native.
6.2%. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yet over 30%.
Over 30%
of them are missing.
Yes.
I mean, those numbers are
That's
just
outrageous.
And then those numbers, when we stop and think about it, are probably wrong because they underestimate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So Jermain's family was told the missing persons report had to be filled in person. They made that drive. But we know that first detective, he didn't respond with urgency. He was like, well, she's not in danger. How do you know? Get off your bum. Put the donut away, doorknob. And it took 10 days before they got Guy Baker, who cared and took over this investigation. And he admits it himself that there's disparity publicly. He has no problem saying it. It's not new.
And
it's not.
Unfortunately, 10 days is forever.
Well,
in a case like that,
the first 48, they say, are the most important.
Yeah.
And we were 10 days in.
Yeah.
And it's not isolated because Kay Serrera stops pretty places, 18 years old. We did her story, Bighorn Country, Montana. Her body was found days after she disappeared in August 2019. Of course, remember, hypothermia. In August.
Right.
Law enforcement's response was delayed. Her remains were prematurely cremated against her family's cultural practices, destroying evidence and compounding their grief. In December of 2024, 19-year-old JD Butterfly of the Blackfeet Nation was deleted in Browning, Montana. I have spoken through Facebook with her father, Chris. He is devastated. He said he's written to the Blackfeet Tribal Business Council. We have received nothing but silence. No callbacks, updates, or other communications. Silence. That word, our word. Every killer depends on your silence, and Montana's institutions have been handing that silence to perpetrators for generations. Montana in this country built a system where Native women can be beaten, disappeared, and forgotten while the machinery keeps grinding forward. Task forces are formed, reports are filed. The Montana MMIP task force met in person for the first time in over a year in 2024. It took them a year to even have one meeting. Oh, wow. Great job. Hope you enjoyed your paycheck.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, families are burying their daughters or searching for them in the dark. I mean, just think about it. And then you have Jermain Charlo, deserve better. Kay Serrera stops pretty places, deserve better. Hannah Harris, deserve better. JD Butterfly, deserve better. Awareness without accountability. It's just a decoration, you guys. That's all it is. But let's take a moment here and we're going to talk about some missing people. And remember, when you're out and about, please put those cell phones down and look at faces. If you see something, say something. People hide in plain sight. They also may leave voluntarily and then they become endangered. They maybe get talked out of the house if they're minors, thinking they're going somewhere wonderful, and it turns into a terrible ordeal. It can happen to adults. We know trafficking is real. These people need help. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, get on it immediately. If you see something off, don't wait for someone else to call the authorities. Call 911. The worst that can happen is it wasn't what you thought. Big deal. But your vigilance could save a life, and that's what's important. Jessa Pepion, 17. She's been missing since December 26 of 2025 from the Blackfeet Reservation in Montana. She has brown eyes, brown hair. She's 5'8", weighs 110 pounds. Last seen wearing a gray sweatsuit. Contact the Blackfeet law enforcement at 406-338-4000. The next one, I'm sad to report, I checked on her right before air. I tried to do this, and McKenna Wendell, 14, was found deceased. She went missing on March 13th of 2026, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. They didn't find her alive. So that was a harsh one. 14 years old, that little baby girl. This is real life, you guys. This is what's happening out there. This is why we have to pay attention. Zane Patrick LaFontaine, 17. He went missing on November 20th of 2025 from Sentinel Butte, North Dakota. He's 5'10". He weighs 160 pounds. He has black eyes, black hair and brown eyes. Contact the Golden Valley Sheriff at 701-872-4733. He has an NCIC number of M as in Michael, 7586-66939. You can also call the National Children's number at 1-800-843-5678. But before we go tonight, I want a minute just so we can close this. We've spent this episode talking about court rulings, search warrants, cell tower, and legal technicalities. And I want to make sure we don't lose the human being inside all of that. Her name is Jermain Austin Charlo. She was 23. She had 2 young boys named Jacob and Thomas. She wanted to attend art school in New Mexico. She was a descendant of Chief Charlo, a man who fought for his people's right to live on their land. She enjoyed fishing, getting dirty outdoors, liked dressing up, going out with her friends. She posted about everything on social media, her grocery runs, her job, her daily life. When she stopped posting, her aunt said that wasn't who she was until someone made her be quiet. Her phone pinged 14 miles away in territory that's not Bagneux well, between 2 and 10 in the morning. Then someone silenced an incoming call from a man who loved her, a man she was getting ready to know, and they really cared for each other. That was June 2018. It's now March 2026. Jermain has never come home. Her Aunt Valinda has searched for her for nearly 8 years with her other aunt, Danny, and other family members. They have placed Jermain's billboard on the Highway 93 facing Evero Hill so that when Snotbag drives to Missoula, he sees her face. Jacob and Thomas, her little boys that she was trying to help raise, will see their mother every time they pass by. Your loved ones aren't giving up the search, Jermain. Danny and Valinda are still going strong. Don't count those aunties out, let me tell you. But before we close, we have to make sure Jermain's information is in front of everyone watching and listening tonight. Jermain went missing on June 16th, 2018. She posted this right before she went out. This was what she was wearing. The last sighting of her was behind a bar in an alley at the Badlander Bar. She was 23, date of birth April 23rd, 1995, 5'9", 130 pounds, brown hair, brown eyes, identifying marks. Flower tattoo on the center of her chest, a deer tattoo on her left shoulder blade. She liked the nickname Liz and may use the last name Morgau. And I'm saying that wrong. She was last seen wearing her gray hoodie, sweatshirt with her brown Under Armour logo, a white t-shirt, jeans, square-toed cowboy boots, and a blue baseball cap with a logo of 3 trees and a tan bill, enrolled member of the Confederated Salish Kootenai tribes of the Flathead Reservation, and I apologize to the entire tribe for butchering that. Please forgive me. I try really hard. Took me 6 months to learn Doc's last name. I had all my girlfriends go up and ask him how to pronounce it. So pronunciation is not my thing. If you have any information, please contact Detective Guy Baker, Missoula Police Department, 406-552-6284. He actually put his personal cell phone number on the billboard, 406-396-3217. He cares. He wants her found. Now, there is an organization called the Strong Hearts Native Helpline. It's available for Indigenous survivors and family members, that have gone with abuse. 1-844-7-NATIVE or 1-844-762-8483. The thing is, you guys, the police, they haven't even named him as a suspect. And I think it's because they're trying to do everything behind the scenes. I don't have to follow those rules. I can call him, a scumbag because I think he is. And I allegedly feel that he is the one that has done this. We will say allegedly because we don't know for sure. Yeah, we put stuff in our link tree, Josh. There'll be information there.
And the detective's information is in the description. So,
yeah. But just remember, everybody, every killer, abuser, trafficker, they depend on your silence. Don't give it to them. And remember, if you see something, you have to say something. We can't keep quiet. And it wasn't a mannequin. It's never a mannequin when people find something. And we have to remember these things because silence is betrayal. We won't be quiet. Someone always has to talk eventually. And tonight on Justice After Dark, we shared a story that matters, one that cuts us to the heart about one of our Native sisters. She deserves so much better. She deserves to be remembered, searched for, and brought home. If you're on vacation this summer, you hear about a search, if you could possibly donate some time, if not, can you donate some funds to help the searchers? Maybe give them water, whatever they need. Please do what you can when you hear about these searches. We also always link Lissa Yellowbird Chase's Amazon thing for her dogs because she has her cadaver dogs. And trust me, she's coming up with her schedule for this summer. So families and advocates are making plans now because winter's ending soon. So they're going to start their searches again. So it's very important that if we can possibly help, we do. Every Thursday, we dedicate to our MMIP. But join us on Sundays. We do cold cases, trials, crimes against children, trafficking, and any other story we think deserves a voice. This Sunday, we're going to work on a trial that a lot of people didn't make because it was a plea deal. And it's another one that my righteous indignation is going to go a little crazy. Thank you, Pammy. We appreciate everybody's support. Please share, let's get this out there. Let's get Jermain's name out there. We want more people looking for her. And if you appreciate we do, like I said, share it, subscribe it, hit that button, all that mojo that has to happen. But until next time, you guys, please stay informed, stay compassionate, keep seeking the truth, and keep demanding justice. Never start speaking up. We love you all. I've created a song for Jermain here at the end. We're going to see you on Sunday. and ciao. Have a good night.
23 years old, with the whole world in her hands. 2 little boys at home who didn't understand. Out on the streets of Missoula lay one night, a mother, a daughter, a woman full of life. She painted like the sunrise, ran with the wind. She loved every creature, her kin. The mountains were her heartbeat and the rivers her song. A native woman walking, then suddenly gone. She had babies waiting, she had people who cared. She had roots so deep, she was never meant to disappear. Where did you go, Jermain? We're calling out your name across the valleys, over every mountain and plain. Where did you go, Jermain? The silence feels like a chain. We will never stop looking, we will never stop saying your name. She sketched her dreams with the tip of a pen. She laughed with her family and do it again. Her boys need their mama to tuck them in tight and whisper she loves them every single night. The outdoors was a sanctuary, her pets by her side. A woman of the people, full of pride. Missoula may forget, but we never will. We carry a story over every hill. She had babies waiting, she had people who cared. She had roots so deep, she was never meant to disappear. Where did you go, Jermain? We're calling out your name across the valleys, over every mountain and plain. Where did you go, Jermain? The silence feels like a chain. We will never stop searching, we will never stop calling your name. They say she vanished like it didn't matter, like a native life, just disappear with the wind. But we are louder than their lies and silence. We keep calling her home again and again. Jermain Charlo, 23 years old, a mother, an artist, a story left untold. 2 little boys are still gazing at the sky. Montana owes them the reason why. Where did you go,